before I get on the topic at hand, I want to show you something. See that? That's tobacco. Yeah. So, to that 4chan guy that reported me to the FBI, I hope you stayed anonymous when you did it, or else you are committing libel, and the FBI will come after you, because possession of marijuana is a misdemeanor. It's about a $2,000 fine or 1 year in prison, but wasting the FBI's time and reporting a false crime is a felony. I don't know the exact charges, obviously all this shit differs from state to state, but it's an assumption that if I were to be caught with marijuana, it would be less than you accusing me of possessing marijuana. And it's not even fucking marijuana. So, no, I'm completely sober, and I'm driving this crazy train all on my own. Now, what I wanted to talk about was how forums think I owe them something. And when I came to this conclusion, I was applying for gym leader of a Pokemon League. Because as a child, I used to love Pokemon. So I figured, oh, well that's cool. I'm older now. I can be a real-life gym leader. I can have badges to give out, and that would be fucking awesome. Well, it turns out it's not really all that awesome. It's a lot of work. And for nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just like when I used to write articles at TV Tropes. In fact, being a gym leader in the Pokemon Leagues is akin to one of those get-rich scams where you become your own entrepreneur and sell products and then you make a cut of it. Because what happens is when you sign up for these programs, they do a background check, obviously, and then if they pick you, they give you some supplies, like, the badges, promo cards, posters, things like that to, exalt the Pokemon League and get kids to come back. And then what you do is you encourage the children to register on the Pokemon website for obvious reasons. You keep track of all their Pokemon battles and shit, and if that way they want to go pro one day, hey, it's out there. And it's a lot of paperwork. I figured that. I knew that going in. And, I'm keeping track of all their shit. But then I realized I'm not getting paid for this. At no point did it ever say you get paid for it. In fact, if you do get paid, it is because they are pocketing money from tournament fees. If a Pokemon League you go to says that there's a fee to, compete, then they are charging you personally. Because the Pokemon League neither says to nor says not to charge a fee. So, you're charging a fee to get... Why milk the cow? How'd the saying go? Why get the cow when you can get the milk for free? If the stuff is free to the children, why are they going to pay me to, do what they should be getting for free? Essentially, I would have to pay out of pocket to, up the ante and make it a more competitive game and more like an actual tournament where there's actual prizes and things. And then from there, hope that they're stupid enough to pay me to compete and get these prizes. Why couldn't they do that themselves? It makes no sense. I could do that right now. I don't need the Pokemon League's approval to do that. I could just, invite a bunch of people on Craigslist and be like, we're gonna have a Pokemon tournament, and make it like a poker game. That's all. That's essentially what a trading card game tournament is. It's just a poker tournament where supposedly you need the company's approval because of their copyright or some bullshit. And, so obviously I didn't apply because, I need a job. I don't need something to otherwise waste my time. And it got me to thinking about forums. And I know everyone thinks I think about that a lot, and that I just find ways to connect moderators to negative consequence X. But it's true. Like at TV Tropes, I wrote articles all the time. Everything you read on TV Tropes is my work, or at least partially my work. It is something I have worked on, I have edited, I have cleaned up, You know, without me, that site would look like utter shit. In fact, the reason why it's so much shit now is because I'm not there to pick up the pace. I'm not there to pick up their mess. And, you know, it's the same way with 4chan. 4chan has gone downhill because I'm not there to engineer it. I carry whatever website I go to, and the fucking ingrates don't appreciate it, and then when shit hits the fan, oh, you know, it's the trolls' fault, it's this fault. No, it's the environment. Trolls have nothing to do with it. Trolls are everywhere. You know, they like to bother people. But if you create an environment where you don't care and you're getting enjoyment out of something, what the fuck does it matter? The trolls will naturally starve because they can't get a rise out of you because you don't give a shit. You know, that's why they say don't feed the trolls. That's not some pretentious ideology where you're to look down upon them and say, fuck you, troll, and accuse people of being a troll. That's not what it means. What it means is think positive. What it means is be a bro, you know? Just go out and do your thing and help other people and be nice to one another, and then the trolls can't get bigger. The trolls have nowhere to go. And I'm not suggesting that trolls are bad people. Trolls are a reaction. I believe that every troll is just a reaction to the draconian moderators and the sick societies that forums create. So I don't blame the trolls. I blame the people. If you have a problem with trolls, you have a problem with your forum. If your forum wasn't full of bans and bullshit and rules and people looking down on one another, you wouldn't have trolls. And if you think otherwise, you're a fucking idiot. So, you know, I build up these websites. I don't get paid for it. I get no recognition. They ban me. They ban me from the site that's more mine than theirs. Look at 4chan. 4chan is practically my fan club. They can't go 5 seconds without talking about Jim Profit. And meanwhile, I'm banned from my own fucking fan club. That's some shit. So, you know, and where was I going with this? My point is that, you know, I don't even know what I was going to say, because it's just stupid how I came up with a 4-list criteria that I meet, that if you do not listen to this criteria, you fail at life. And I don't mean that as like a meme, I don't mean that to be funny. I mean, if you live your life and are doing anything that meets more than 2 of these qualifications, you have failed. You have failed your family, you have failed yourself, you have failed God, you have failed what it means to be a good human being. And these 4 things are you working hard? Are you doing something you wouldn't want to do? Are you getting paid for it? And, there was another one, but I can't remember what it was. I wrote it down, hold on. Rules to be followed. Yes, that was my talking point. Okay, so, yes, are you following rules? Is someone making rules upon you? And are you getting paid, or are you not getting paid? And unfortunately, I have been a failure in my own life on more than one occasion. You know, on TV tropes, I was working hard on the TV tropes. I had rules to have to follow, and I wasn't getting paid for it. It was something I wanted to do, but I broke the cycle. I violated 3 of those life rules, and I paid for it, you know, because somebody else got to tell me what to do. And so in life, you have to make sure everything you do never meets more than 1 of those qualifications. Either someone shouldn't be telling you what to do, they should be paying you, you shouldn't have to work very hard at it and get to lazy about, or it's something that you want to do. And that's the thing about communism. Everybody's worried about in a communist society we would all be lazy and not do anything. Good. We shouldn't have to do stuff. Why should we? We're not your fucking niggers. We're not slaves. You know? Maybe we don't want to get up off our ass and go to work and flip burgers for a bunch of fat slobs that don't appreciate us working 8 hours a day to feed their fat gullet. Maybe we don't feel like getting up to mop the floors because you're too much of a pig to pick up after yourself. Maybe we don't feel like delivering your mail because, some company wants to advertise the new pizza deal, the 3-meat pizza or whatever. Maybe we don't feel like doing that shit. So, why should we? We live in a society that forces to with the barrel of a gun, that if we don't do it, we don't get, money, we don't get food, we don't get housing, we starve to death. That's the incentive. Just threats after threats, violence after violence, bullying after bullying. Don't fucking tell me about communism is lazy. You don't know what lazy is. You're intellectually lazy if you believe this is the way the world was meant to be. And I'm not telling you that it can all be perfect. I'm not telling you that, everything will be hunky-dory if everyone just listens to Jim Prophet. What I'm telling you is that in life, these are the 4 qualities that define whether you are going forward or going backward. Are you working your dick off? Are you having to do shit you don't want to do? Are you getting paid, or are you getting paid bullshit? Are you getting paid peanuts? And are you having to follow a bunch of shitty rules that make no sense, but because someone is up here as the authority, as the moderator, and you're down here as the serf, as the forum member that agreed to the terms of service, that, it just doesn't matter. They think they can abuse you. No, I am not willing to put up with more than one of those qualifications. As a human being, it's just not going to happen. And if I ever meet Richard the Rapist Bueller, or Stee, or Fast Eddie, or Moot, or any of them, I will stab them in the fucking neck. That's it. Because I refuse to live my life that way. I refuse to live my life letting other people trample all over me and get nothing out of it. That is what it means to be a communist. It doesn't mean that I just want people to be lazy. It doesn't mean that I just think everything's going to be handed to me on a silver platter. It doesn't mean that, I think everyone's going to get along and there's never going to be any kind of racial or social conflict. I know better than that. I'm not stupid. But what I know is that life doesn't have to be this way. And the only way it's going to change is if I make it change by refusing to comply with it. I'm not going to let you boss me around. I'm not going to let you get away with making me work for free. I'm not going to let you get away with making me have to work my ass off while you sit on your ass and fucking talk about how you own the land and you own the resources and you own the fucking forum and grow fatter and stupider, Richard the Rapist Bueller and Fast Eddie, while Jim Prophet does all the work. And I'm not going to follow your stupid rules. You tell me one more goddamn time about a rule I violated and I will fucking kill your family. So don't tell me about any of this shit. I refuse to follow more than one of those things. And the only reason I accept that one of those things might befall my life is because I am a realist. I understand that shit happens. And shit happens and you gotta pick your battles. But I am not going to battle with more than one of those planks. That's it. And that's all I have to say on the subject matter.